Yes.
I can't do that.
Here we are, everybody. We are live. It is Wednesday night. We are Earth's Mightiest Critics, and we are here to talk about one of the most explosive films of the year, One Battle After Another by one Paul Thomas Anderson. This movie didn't get a popcorn bucket. Let me throw this around the room. What do you think the popcorn bucket would have been? Just curious.
Didn't get like for your wait a second.
Yeah, like the
Is this a
themed
new
popcorn
category
bucket.
of the show?
No,
Oh,
I'm just,
themed popcorn. What would the it'd be a 6-pack of Modelo's, you know?
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah.
very good. I was thinking of
How many
something
beers?
a little
3
bit.
or 4 small beers. Yeah, it'd be a 3 or 4-pack of little Modelo's. Yeah.
Yeah, this movie should have
Little
been
sevens.
sponsored by C4. Anyway, this was, it was Paul Thomas Anderson's biggest opening, from what I understand.
Right.
But it wasn't a big opening. It was a modest performer. We're kind of in the dregs of, we're moving into fall, so we're getting into award season. So we're not necessarily looking at giant blockbusters until probably Wicked. And in terms of things the Academy is going to be looking at for, awards and things. So yeah, this is a very different look for Paul Thomas Anderson. Kind of like, I didn't see that Aronofsky film that came out was it a month or so ago with Austin
Stealing.
Butler.
Yeah.
Caught Stealing, right?
Yeah.
Both of those are trailers I saw in front of other movies, and when the filmmaker came up at the end, the new film from, I was like, "You're kidding me!" Because neither this nor the Aronofsky thing looked like things that I associate with those filmmakers. So it's very exciting. We are graced with a panel full of, I think, diverse opinions on this one. Folks who love it, folks who may be in the middle. And then there's me. No surprise there. But we're going to get into it. And we're also going to talk spoilers. I'm going to put that banner up right now because, who knows what we could end up saying. But I want to introduce the gang first. I am Ian Simmons of Kicking the Seat. We have Don Shanahan of Film Obsessive and Every Movie Has a Lesson. Mike Crowley of YPA Reviews. Mark the Movie Man Krawcheck of Special Mark Productions and the Spoiler Room Podcast. And, of course, the blonde in front. Make it blonde. Make it bold. Make it blonde. Yes, the blonde in front, Katie Glidewell. Also, she's incognito tonight, so I probably shouldn't have given out your name, if that is your name. Okay.
I'm not going to remember the code word. I'm not going to remember. I'll be honest, Ian. I've had a lot to drink and done a lot of drugs. I'm not. It's been a hard time. I'm not going to remember it.
You are in character, I might add. We are not doing drugs on this live stream. Sorry. You got to put the disclaimers up.
You're right.
I wish I knew that earlier.
You're right. We aren't doing drugs on this podcast.
Oh my gosh, you just turned into Leo from Wolf of Wall Street. That'd be fun.
I thought he was going to be Leo the Lizard from the Netflix movie.
Yeah.
Yikes. Well, okay, so Don, as the resident teacher and orator, can you give us a synopsis of One Battle After Another?
No, I cannot, but I will do my best to try. So, no, this movie is, synopsis. So Leonardo DiCaprio begins this film with more of a code than anything. He's in an anti-establishment, let's just call it domestic terrorist organization. We can go there a little bit, you can't call them peaceful protesters. You can call them violent resistance kind of things.
And you can't call them Antifa, just like you can't call the immigration establishment ICE officially.
Right.
But, we're doing a lot of dancing in this movie. Yeah.
So very weather underground civil opposition situation. The opening scene has their group called the French 75 infiltrating a immigration detention center and kind of releasing the detainees and kind of thumbing their nose at the military, led by Sean Penn, who's a colonel at the time, who's very becomes very hot and bothered about this particular movement and wants to continue to be hot and bothered about this movement and apprehending these nefarious people as they go. They are getting different kind of targets of interest that either are political or business related that are against the things that they believe in. That all goes well until finally the long arm of the law gets a hold of them and gets a hold of enough of them that some of them can make it on the run, change their identities, and go on the lam. And some are apprehended, kind of becoming either turning state's evidence or just being used to pressure everyone else. It all falls apart, and we fast forward 16 years later, where Leonardo DiCaprio has made it this long in freedom, and he's been able to raise a daughter along the way that may or may not be his. In doing so, he's kind of become a bit of a slacker and a stoner because he's just kind of not in the game anymore and just trying to raise a kid, and that's hard to do. The kid is about as spry and as sharp and possibly as kind of that same civil disobedience trait and spine as her mother was. So played by the mother earlier in the movie, played by Tiana Taylor, who's awesome. We needed more of her in the movie.
Yeah.
16 years later, Penn has found them and has decided to kind of descend upon the town that he's in to kind of apprehend one of the last people he hasn't been able to catch from the French 75, including the daughter, who may or may not also be his. So hijinks ensue in terms of like, how in the heck can I get out of Dodge and keep my daughter safe while getting some help along the way and mixing in with the locals that are trying to just hide their own immigrants and things and Underground Railroad-ish kinds of setups and schemes. So it all comes crashing down, and at the same time it all gets lifted up by, again, what Sean Penn is there for, who's pushing the buttons to make this all happen, and whether or not he can get his man or not, and his girl. Yeah.
Beautifully
Great.
done.
That's really well done.
Yes.
Oh man. Yeah.
That
Okay.
was really good.
Ting, ting. Yeah.
Yeah.
High marks for
Got
Mr.
it.
Shanahan. Oh, there's the bell.
There's
Don, from what I
Mm.
saw of your social media kind of after you watched the movie, because
Yeah.
you saw it in an advanced screening, that you kind of slept on it. You were like, because
Did.
you're hesitant to use the M word, right? The
I
the
don't-
masterpiece
I don't,
word
yeah.
that's being thrown around. But I think
Yeah.
if I recall correctly, when you actually sat down to write your review, you came out with a was it a 5-star on this one? Is this
I did.
is this-
So
yeah?
I walked out of the movie 4 stars going, all right, that's a very strong work. That's a whole hodgepodge of many, many things. Whether or not they all plug in together is another story, because you have the time jump, you have the the authoritarian thing going on here. You have got that underground white supremacy thing. You've got a stoner movie. You've got a chase movie. You've got a crime movie. You've got a heist movie. You've got all these things. And then you've got an immigration on the run movie. You've got all these things thrown together, and like, can they really work together? How do you find a common through thread or even some common themes, or how do you make it engaging enough that you can kind of go along for this wild ride? And then, I came out of the movie letterboxing it at 4, slept on it, wrote my review, and then boy, everything I write about, it seems to keep clicking, or it's unique, or it hasn't been done before in this kind of particular way. And to have all those threads work and braid together enough, I was impressed by the package. And I'm not going to throw around the masterpiece word. It's a very, very good film. I don't think it's the best film of the year. It's one of the best films of the year if we want to go there. But I still got Sinners in the Clubhouse and a couple other things ahead of it. But this is a very fine film. This is cool to see Paul Thomas Anderson flex in these directions. But no, this recency bias of everything's a masterpiece coming out of Venice, and since this movie's been getting the thing, I could see why people like it, especially our peers that lean on artifice first, and maybe some hot button things, like the overprojection of what it means to now is really heavily out there from our peers, where it's a message movie as much as it is the product of what it is as a pinch on adaptation. So I try not to plug in and read to all that. I just want to look at the movie, but even when I did that, I ended up at 5. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah. This has anyone, I just want to ask, has anyone, because I have not read it, but it was based or inspired by a Thomas Pynchon novel, Vineland. Has anyone read that?
1990.
Okay.
No, I have not read it, but
I know
if
my
it
answer
is
to that
based-
one.
Yeah, if it is based on a novel, it'll be either like one of two things, where There Will Be Blood was based on oil, but
Right.
like it basically has like nothing in common with it at all.
No.
And then Inherent Vice apparently is too faithful to the book, where it's just confusing and bloated and a mess and a movie I can't sit through. But yeah, I'm not sure which case it is, but it feels like something that's very Paul Thomas Anderson, especially like the overtly sexual humor. You're like, oh, that's the Boogie Nights guy. That's something he's done in almost all of his movies, excluding like Phantom Thread, where there was no like weird sexual. Well, there was weird sexual stuff, but
I was gonna say
not
still in there.
not full on like Dirk Diggler boners like there are in this film. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, there's definitely some standing at attention in the first like 5 minutes. I mean, it's a bold statement for sure. Mike, since you're jawboning, what did you think? I didn't mean that was not a pun. Sorry.
Wow. I mean, speaking of jawboning, talk about that jawboning that Sean Penn does with this performance. Yeah, he's great in this role because you can believe him as like a weird psychopath, because I mean every time he talks, he sounds like he's either going to scream or he's going to cry or do both. So like in the movie when he says that he gets raped in reverse, like I could believe him actually saying that. But yeah, this movie, I came in and I knew there was a lot of hype behind it, and Paul Thomas Anderson is one of my personal favorite directors, but he is hit or miss. I thought Phantom Thread was kind of a miss. It was more style over substance. I thought Inherent Vice, as I said earlier, is just kind of just unwatchable and boring and convoluted as hell. So I was a little trepidatious about this one, but I came out loving it. And the reason I loved it isn't just because, it's reflective of our times. Everything basically these days could be reflective of our times. What I liked about it is that it's like a comedic battle of Algiers that is like one of the funniest movies I've seen this year. And it also, has the message of how, violence and revolution, it's not what we think it's going to be. It's not like Star Wars where they blow up the Empire and everyone's happy, although Andor, mix that up. It's more about how revolution is continuing and how the cycle of violence, which is kind of a tired thing, but it's still there, how it doesn't really solve anything. Because at the end of the day, these guys are still living in a horrible situation where everyone's in a civil war. And yeah, there is clearly a bad guy, but there's the good guys aren't that great either. But yeah, I thought, and of course the style was incredible as always. The music worked, although a little too heavy on some of the sound mixing where it was like meant to wake you up, especially with that opening theme. But yeah, it worked on all those levels, and it's something I need to see again, and I need to see it in film because this movie
like
once
the
again
70 millimeter
proves,
IMAX.
it proves like film is
driving
better than
Indianapolis.
digital. But it's incredible. It doesn't feel like 3 hours, and it's almost 3 hours. It's amazing. Yeah.
All right. Sorry, Bob. I'm not gonna use your real name anymore.
Well,
can you put the double mouth down? You're tripping me out here. I can't. I'm expecting that to.
It just starts talking by itself.
Yeah. I've tried not to overhype this film because I want people to see it and not going in with all these expectations. But I have let people know right away that it is a 2-hour, 40-minute movie. The day after I saw it, I could not wait to see it again at the second screening, and I probably should have seen it again at the Music Box in 70 millimeter. I have told people that I think it's a future GOAT. I think it's going to be up there with the likes of the films that are, classics of the 70s. It is timely, and yet it's timeless. The fact that he's been writing this for 20 years, but how relevant it is right now. And, even with the time jump, how not much has changed, says so much. I know people with the trailer thought that it was going to be another Taken, and I have very much squashed that to let people know it is not another Taken. But I knew nothing about this film other than Paul Thomas Anderson directed it. Leonardo DiCaprio was in it, and that probably was about it. It looked like some gritty 1970s film, like from the posters and a little bit that I've seen, and it is hilarious. And I love the fact that in each different segue, there's something surprising to me, like with Sean Penn, with the Christmas Adventurers Club, with when they did finally find Willa and what happened to that person, and what that I don't, because we're going to talk spoilers, but I mean, again, it's 2 hours and 40 minutes, and I at no time looked at my watch, looked at my phone, thought that it dragged at all, and I thought that the music that went with every scene was just, and he's amazing at this, no matter, even if it is Phantom Thread, the synergy he has with the stories and the music are just perfectly aligned. I think he's going to get nominated for Best Director. I know there's probably going to be a number of nominations, probably for acting. I would love Tiana Taylor to get a Best Supporting Actress for this, because honestly, I think she should have gotten it for 1001. She is a lightning bolt in every single scene she is in, and I don't see anyone that could have done that role any better. Yeah, I mean, this is as good as it gets. Like, I don't necessarily think it's my favorite film. It may be tied for my favorite film of the year right now. Best film.
What's the other one? Just
it's Life of Chuck. I love Life of Chuck. And I'm talking to you about One Battle After Another, even though Life of Chuck is back in theaters today.
I gotta see that yet.
I do love One Battle After Another. And yeah, I'm telling when people have been asking me the past 2 weeks what they should see, it is One Battle After Another.
All right.
Ting.
Oh.
And
sorry, wrong show. Yeah.
Sorry, and I love the fact that Bob, for some reason, and when you guys were talking about the different storylines, he reminds me so much of Floyd from True Romance. Like, if Floyd grew up and had a kid, this is what Bob would be. And then I kind of realized, like, you know what? This does kind of have a little bit of a True Romance, sort of like all the stories interweaving with each other and stuff like that. But yeah, I just want to get that in too. Go see One Battle After Another.
And in True Romance, Floyd was played by Brad Pitt, Leo DiCaprio's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood co-star.
Yep.
We've got a new 6 Degrees game.
Hey, there you go.
Oh yeah, and I got all these cool swags. So there's that.
We did get nice swag. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get the glasses too? Did that come with it?
Yeah.
Wow, nice.
Wow.
I got 2.
Oh my goodness. Nice. Mark.
Yes.
What say ye about?
I'll just see myself to the door, I guess.
No, you're good. You're good.
I gave it 4 out of 5. I sat on it for like 2 days. Usually I do my Movie Man, Movie Minute like right after or within a day. I sat on it a few days to really chew on it, to see how I felt, because I saw the reviews and I hear your guys' comment, and it's great. I'm glad people found the humor. For me, I laughed twice during this movie. Most of the humor
2
fell
more times than I did, Mark.
Most of the humor fell flat for me. Now, here's why, is because I'm a huge fan of Magnolia. I really like Boogie Nights. He worked humor into that, but he still kept the tone serious. He still kept the tone heavy. You're dealing with subjects in this film that are serious subjects, that are heavy. And me going into it, I didn't know much about it, but when I realized what topics it was going to be, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get one of these, kind of really thought like, yeah. And as it went along, every time there was the ba-dump bump moment, which I knew was supposed to be a ba-dump bump moment, it took me away from the story a bit, because I was appreciating the story and the complex. As my son said, the story itself is really rather basic if you look at the through line of, is a guy getting his daughter. It's the complex characters. And even my son said, he gave it 4 out of 5. He's like, he was impressed. And it's what Paul Thomas Anderson does, to handle these very messy, layered characters. He handles those very well. They stay consistent throughout the film. They stay their characters. You could see these characters like this, except for Leo's. Leo's is the other one that I'll say isn't really, which was a surprise turn for his character for me. But I came out of it.
Leo's not consistent? Is that what you're saying? Or he changes?
Not consistent of where I saw him character end up. You see Lockjaw, and then 16 years later, you see the Lockjaw, you go, that's a 16-year later Lockjaw. You see the other characters, you go, yeah, that's where they would be 16 years later. You see Leo's character, who I know we're going to get into spoilers, and I don't want to talk.
We're already talking about it. You can go ahead.
there's the scene where Perfidia still needs to go out and do her revolutionizing. And he's like, you're a mom. He's trying to take care of the daughter. He's trying to be the best dad he is. We jump 16 years, and he apparently has abandoned part of that to become a stoner and a lazy, rather than, I was figuring he was going to be more of the helicopter parent than being stoner.
The paranoid adding up and all that over the years.
Yeah, sure. I thought he was going to be more of the overprotective, hey, we're living in this fortress type of house. Then we get stoner dude dad, which was a surprise for me on that, because how adamant and strong he was to take care of his daughter 16 years prior to seeing where he's at now was jarring for me in his character. And then seeing him become the comic relief basically throughout. I mean, they hint at it a little bit in the opening, but the 16 years later, all the situations, him becoming really the comic relief when he cares for his daughter, but he's the slacker. He's still a slacker parent. It was just a very jarring for me, because I didn't see 16 years later, I didn't buy that was the character he would end up being. And we don't really get a full reason of why he went that route, when this is the daughter is the only thing in his life. He loved her. He chose her over his wife, you know, and that was jarring. So when you lose me a little bit there, it was hard for me to stay really motivated to cheer for him. And he's kind of the main guy we follow through most of this. Now, I'm going to say, I think the person who really should be talked about in this as well, though, is Infinia.
Chase Infinity.
Huh?
Chase
Thank
Infinity,
you.
yeah.
And her portrayal. I loved her in every scene she was in. I thought she held her own with these veteran actors. I thought you bought that she was Perfidia's and Ferguson, daughter. You buy that she's Bob and Perfidia's daughter. She felt like her own character, though. I really liked her character, and I liked the characters like around Leo. And I even was surprised with Sean Penn, because knowing the actor and outside and what roles he normally plays and whatnot, to see him in a role like this, even though I know it's exaggerated and being satirical, I didn't even recognize him at first when I saw him, and then I realized, oh wait, that's Sean Penn. When he's sitting in the chair, I was like, okay, this is different. I think it stumbles a bit along the way with possibly adding too much. Overall, I enjoy the story. I enjoy the movie as it was put together, as a movie on its own, putting any political beliefs or outside world views aside the best I could. I think it works as a film. I think it's missing some components and other components that could have left out. But
this is an awfully weird 4 out of 5 review you're giving here.
No, it's 4 out of 5.
I feel the same right in the 5. Like this is out there, but here we are, and
it's still in the 4 though, because I know about the Christmas Club didn't need that element in there at all. In all honesty, you did not need that for the motivation, but you put it in here just because you're wanting to make another statement about that type of deep organization. But it's not needed. If you look at the way this story is and the motivation of Lockjaw, you don't necessarily need that. Then the way the film ends, it should ends with them driving away in the desert as father and daughter, and that's it. We didn't need the Jason Voorhees moment with Lockjaw. We didn't need we're applying again to this organization, which I said didn't really need to be in this to be the motivation, and have a James Bond moment. And they just were tracked down by a branch of the military, and they decided to stay at the exact same house they were tracked down at once. And he's still technically a convicted revolutionary.
And worse yet, Mark, he upgraded from a brick phone to an iPhone.
Right,
it's like taking a selfie. You have to get on the grid in order to have one of those. I'm sorry.
So I guess that's why it's 4 out of 5. Because for me, while I enjoyed various parts of it, in that when I looked at the story overall, there were just parts in it that I thought weren't necessarily needed. And the one element side, and I'll shut up now, I'm sorry, but the one element or maybe perspective you're missing was either a person who's not a revolutionary or immigrant, just a regular life person, or maybe someone who was maybe a little more on the right, but not a white supremacist, and not, you needed that. You're missing a little bit of that representation. You're showing the extreme left as for Perfidia. You're showing the kind of, not so extreme left, or the ones who have changed their mind about the, because of life, in the form of Bob. You have the immigrant representation with Benicio del Toro, who I really enjoyed his calm, cool, chill character. You've got your extreme right military angle with Lockjaw, and then you've got your white supremacist deep state with the Christmas angle, but you're missing that kind of just right of center perspective people who you could even just worked in a little bit that maybe would have helped out Bob, even though they might not agree of who he is with, because he makes a case that he's trying to save his daughter or whatnot. So you're missing sort of that a couple of representations in here. Now, I'm not saying this is the first movie to do that. God's Not Dead does that all the time. It's preaching to the choir and not to convert anybody. And I'm not saying this film is, but just narratively, I feel that it was just a little bit clunky in parts for me, to where I couldn't fully get into it, because I was like, this is just a little bit too much here and not much here.
Yeah. I mean, well said. Despite, hold on a second, we're going to pull over. It's getting started already. Michael Smith, this guy has no idea what he's talking about.
Oh boy.
And you're missing the mark big time. I'm not
missing the mark.
Mark's right here. And I love Mark.
There. Yeah.
But okay.
What did you think, Ian? Here we
Michael
go.
Michael Smith, you're gonna love this. I hate this movie.
Wondering. Here we go.
I am not aligned politically with any of the, I guess, protagonists in this film.
Right.
The whole French 75, breaking into ICE facilities and freeing illegal immigrants, making these people into heroes, making the Lockjaw, Stephen J. Lockjaw, really, making him into a cartoon bad guy who, of course, is working for a covert white supremacist organization that's embedded in the government. I mean, this thing, it would be fine if it were a satire, but it's got to be a lot smarter than that if it's going to be a satire. It doesn't work as a drama because there's too much cartoonish, borderline satirical nonsense playing into the heart of the story. It doesn't feel honest, and it doesn't feel difficult, right? I mean, I think there's a really cool idea in here about people changing and perhaps growing up, and a lot happens in the course of, say, the 16-year time jump, especially when you become a family man. And Mark, I think you've nailed a key problem with this story. Is it's kind of like Alien Earth, where you find one problem and then that leads to like 5 other problems, and eventually the entire thing falls apart. In this case, the Bob character, once he's left alone to raise his daughter by himself because Perfidia goes into witness protection and she can't handle that, so she runs away to Mexico and disappears. The 16-year time jump, you're right, when we see him again, he's a complete stoner, and that's all in purpose of setting up a gag where he can't remember the password to get back in with the French 75 so they can get some help.
Right.
Now, the French 75, as Don, you pointed out in your beautiful synopsis, a lot of them were at least this chapter. Now, we're not sure if this is a national thing or if it is like Antifa, where it's more like kind of local, it's not a giant brand. It's like you've got, Rose City Antifa and other places, other chapters rather. So that's unclear. But this particular branch was taken out largely or flipped in the case. There are only a couple of them, I think, really escaped, and they were later apprehended. There was the one guy who they busted while he was it looked like a podcast setup, but it looked almost like he was doing a ham radio thing. I don't know what was going on there.
The same. Yeah.
Right. But the point is, in that 16 years, and this is a sophisticated but small organization that has the wherewithal to do passwords and really dogmatic people who will not they're solid gatekeepers. Except when your organization has been compromised to that degree, I cannot believe that they would have that same password and protocol 15 years later, because you never know who else has been flipped, who else has been killed, who else has infiltrated the organization. So there should have been another way for him to figure this out or not figure it out. There was some interesting pseudo commentary that I think I will agree, Mark. I did laugh once, and that was when Bob was on the phone trying to do the password thing. It was like the third time he yelled at someone, and he was like, you know, he's like, you woke liberal R word or something like that, and he like hung up the phone because the one guy, he was doing his job. He was like, "What time is it?" He's like, "I don't know what time it is. I'm just trying to find my daughter." He's like, "I can't help you until you tell me what time it is." But they kind of trampled over the joke because you get an idea of what this person looks like. And you're like, okay, Leo is, you know, in his 40s at this point. And the way this character has been portrayed on the phone, you think it's going to be like some 20-something who's like really, you know, a young committee. He's just, when we finally see him, he's like in his 40s too. He's got like white hair. I'm like, no, that's incongruous. But that's a minor point. The cartoonish nature of this movie took me completely out of it, and I expected better from Paul Thomas Anderson. Honestly, you mentioned the Lockjaw character's Jason Voorhees like emergence at the end. I mean, the guy's driving along at high speed down the country desert road. A dude comes at him with a shotgun right into the face. The car runs off the road, does like a quadruple barrel over, and then catches on fire. On top of that, you've got the guy coming, you know, he pulls over and gets out and goes down. We don't actually see him check out for the body, but you would think that he would, you know, finish the job. Later, Leo comes across the wreckage. He gets down there and he sees Sean Penn hanging from the seat, and he's out of focus, but you can tell he's completely messed up. The coda at the, you know, the penultimate end of this movie is we see Sean Penn's character hustling down the road. No, because his face was completely blown off, as we saw later in the flash forward where he's got all the scarring and the tissue and stuff. He would have bled out before he made it back to civilization, because he is nowhere, out in the middle of the desert. And I'm sorry, coming out of that, he's not going to be like walking upright. He's going to be crawling like Leo did in that Wolf of Wall Street drug sequence. I guess the capstone of that character is he gets Pesci'd, you know, he gets Goodfellas, you know, going into the office and like, I'm really sorry about all this, sir. And like, oh, it's fine. You're welcome to the club. And they put him in there, and he gets gassed in a locked office building, which I guess is it's a reference back to the, you know, Christmas Club guys are really big fans of mid-century Germans. It was just so cute and twee that I didn't believe any of it. And I wasn't looking at my watch, but I was definitely looking at the ceiling a lot during this movie because, man, I was not on this movie's wavelength. And I'm convinced that a lot of the critical praise for this movie is ideological and not material.
That's my fear too.
And my challenge to anyone who would say you're off the mark is, not you, Mark, is imagine...
I'll leave, that's fine.
No.
I want to get on, Mark.
Whoa.
Sorry.
I'm going to start calling you.
Went there. Yeah.
John, I'm going to start calling you Perfidia Beverly Hills.
Here it is. Yeah. Perfidia Inwood Park. Yeah.
Imagine if the French 75 were a group of MAGA extremists who were going around blowing up Planned Parenthoods, and who their underground railroad was making sure that January 6thers never got found by the federal government. Tell me how much you'd like one battle after another then.
How many bouquets would be thrown at that movie the way the bouquets are coming here? No, I'm with you. That was my most apprehensive thing, and I tried in my review to just stay on the movie because you could if you're going to project and put the, you know, the Antifa slants and all the timeliness to it, which has power and will gain an audience. I get all that, but you're very much right. Like if you were to flip the script to the way you're talking and make something of the extreme in the other direction, would it be as celebrated? And I thought about how like you kind of I was talking. This is going to completely side our topic in a bad way, but like Will Johnson and I on Cinephile His Fit, we were talking about 2001: A Space Odyssey, much to Mike's chagrin over there, and we were talking about how like sometimes those cornerstones of things are they're cornerstones because of the achievement of what it was, but maybe not so much what it has aged to be. Like, what was it? The Birth of a Nation was like the first great epic film, and it's about the KKK. Like, we celebrated because of it being the important creation that it was. But then we look back and go, gosh, like, we put it on that pedestal.
Let me ask you this.
On the pedestal. And some people
Don, I just want to ask you. I want to ask you, have you ever watched Birth of a Nation?
No, I can't sit through that 3-hour thing. Not out of protest, just out of time. Yeah.
Wait, but we're talking about one battle after another here, sir.
Yeah.
But
no, just
I get it. But I'm just saying, because
yeah.
Birth of a Nation gets thrown out there a lot, and I will say it is a damn good movie, despite the subject matter. Yeah. Right. I mean, that's the thing. It is not. It is a very complicated work, and it was recommended to me by Armand White. That was sort of our at the beginning of our friendship and colleagueship in terms of looking at movies that a lot of people have like written off as being something, but then you look at it and you say, well, this isn't the racist character that history is kind of out to be.
Yeah, that's the bow I'm trying to tie on it is I don't care about that. Like, if the Nazis made a really good rom-com, I'm going to watch it, like, it's just, I'm just saying, like, I'm here for the movie, so I do my best to leave the projections out. I get that those are things that people will champion, but it can't be the only thing that is good about it. Which is why when I step back and go, all right, it's a Pynchon novel and it's a satire and it's going to be ribald and all this stuff like that. Like, that's where I can still give it merit. And I know everyone else is going to give merit plus the other stuff, but I'm happy to give it merit where I gave it merit. So.
Yeah. And that's kind of the unfortunate thing is because there is a lot to like in this movie in terms of performances. I mean, it looks great.
Absolutely.
I am a little bit tired of hearing about the car chase at the end because
a little overhyped. Yeah. The hills are cute and all, but
I thought I was watching.
I was waiting for French Connection.
Yeah, it's like a boat. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought this is not a pun on one of our lead actresses, but I thought I was watching an Infinity commercial, like just going up and over the hills. And I'm like, okay, this is going to end with one of the three characters involved in this chase. And that wasn't a pun either on the actress's name. Chase Infinity. Okay. You're in a movie about the revolution, but you're named after a corporate bank and a luxury car brand. That's beside the point. But that car chase could,
I don't know if named after your name happens to be a corporate. It's like that.
No. Look, that's a corp. Look, now you're going to tell me that Bad Bunny comes from a long line of the Bunny family. No. Anyway,
you'd be impressed by the Bunny family.
Yeah, man.
I might.
Rascally Wabbit.
Rascally Wabbit.
Dude, Bugs and Bad at the Super Bowl halftime show.
Oh hell yeah! There you go.
They can do that bastardization Stan Lee hologram at LA Comic-Con. They can make Bugs Bunny and Bad Bunny rap. But anyway, the point about the car chase is I'm watching it. I'm thinking there's only one way this thing ends. One car gets far ahead, and then they stop, and then they get out.
Yeah.
And then the other car going too fast crashes into it. And it made it through like the rule of 16. So by the 12th time you're going over one of these damn hills, I'm like, well, maybe he's not going to. No, he's going to do it. Yeah. And then it happens. And it's like, it's an impressive car crash. That's fine. But, I saw those in F1 a couple of months ago. Also, just again, help me out here. Am I crazy? There's the scene where Bob is with Benicio del Toro's crew, and they're helping him to escape going across this rooftop. And they make it across the rooftop, and he jumps and he falls. He does like a reverse parkour down these two buildings and lands in an alley. And then he just gets up and walks away. Now he gets tasered a couple of seconds later, but I'm like, no. You're like in your mid 40s, man. You're not going to be walking away from that thing. You're going to be, again, crawling like you did in Wolf of Wall Street.
There is a lot of adrenaline, though. So, I mean, you have to take into that factor. Like,
adrenaline will not fix shattered ankles.
He sold a wrist injury, but like almost like a wrestler sells a wrist injury.
I mean, hell, if look, man, if John Wick can fall from 18 stories and he could just be
but we're not,
that's John Wick, but that's John Wick.
That's sort of the problem, Mark, is like, are we in John Wick territory, or are we in a movie that wants to actually say something to an audience that would be willing to receive it. Not just an audience where it's like, hey, do you hate the man? Come see our movie.
Yeah.
There are people who are staying away from this, probably because they're like, I don't want to see this propaganda.
No, that's the fine line. Is like, these are serious topics that have echoes to today, and which is where people are projecting, but at the same time, it is delivered through chicanery and farce, you know. So can you do that? We've seen that attempted before for like The Big Short and like some of these like Anna McKay wannabe satires where like, I'm going to have these big topics, but I'm going to, you know, laugh and jeer with you along the way. Can this movie do that and keep either edge, the satirical edge or the realism and thriller edge? And it is a fine line. And I think it depends on where you wanted to get cut, you know, so to speak, like, because like you said, like some people are going to aren't going to want this in their movie. And yeah, this is not going to play well. I think I said in our thread, like south of the Mason-Dixon line, no one's watching this movie. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, north of the Mason, I mean, look, this movie made $21 million domestically. And it did even worse than that because that's not ticket sales. A lot of that is premium large format, like your IMAXs, your 70 millimeter, that jacks the ticket price up by 30%. Yeah. So the only people, and this is a broad generalization, but hey, we are talking about one battle after another. The only people who went to go see this are like PTA fans and the folks that this movie was like targeted to see. It did not have reach beyond that. Now, maybe if it gets some kind of an Oscar buzz or whatever, it might compel some interest, but I don't see this as being something that people walk away from saying, yeah, well, I know people have seen it multiple times. And that's the other thing. It's like you keep going down this. Well, it was the tickets were more expensive and you had people going multiple times. So like in the end, like 20 people went to go see this movie opening weekend.
This week 2 should be interesting because if there really is buzz, will it show up, you know?
But we also have The Smashing Machine, which is, you know, it's a drama, but it's also The Rock, and it's like his big kind of a biopic swing. So I don't know how this is going to hold up in the second week. It might have legs, but I have a feeling it won't. Sorry, Mark, go ahead.
No, and I'm going to say is I don't want to make it sound like I fault anyone who enjoyed. I'm glad folks find it very hilarious. I've heard many people, you know, well, the blonde. I don't want to give your full name. No, I am happy that you and Mike both really found the humor in it. It just, I think for me, for the subjects that were being covered, it was a little bit too slapstick, as Ian said, kind of cartoony, he did better with Boogie Nights. Boogie Nights
that's his masterpiece.
Does something similar to where it takes a serious subject, a subject that has a lot of baggage with it, and he took it and he was still able to address some of those angles, but also work the humor into it better than you have it in here, in that outside of the one scene, it's not so much in your face, so to speak. But for me, one of the biggest pops Paul Thomas Anderson ever got for me for laughing was in Boogie Nights is when you have Wahlberg singing "You Got the Touch."
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
because
we need more vocals. There's magic on those tapes.
But why I laughed is because that was a deep cut speaking to a specific generation that only those who know where that song came from will really find the humor. Some people find the humor because he's singing it badly, going, "Oh, it's badly." But the fact it was that song. You know, and he has that other witty humor in there, like when Burt Reynolds and they're sitting with the video camera in the back of the limo, and he's like, "And we're bringing it to you all live on videotape."
Yeah,
Alfred
Molina's scene with the firecrackers and the sister.
Right.
Christian.
You know, he worked the humor better into a heavy subject movie. Here, he's got more humor than heavy in it, and with what he's addressing, I would have liked to see more heavy because, like Tom Cruise from Magnolia, I love those scenes. You know, and I was looking for something like that here, and unfortunately, he doesn't ever allow it to get quite there, or he goes so far that it becomes too humorous to where I'm like, it's just not what I was looking for, considering you're covering these topics.
Yeah, I think, and I haven't read the Pynchon novel, I'm curious to read it though, kind of like what Mike was saying earlier about, it was written in 1990, which is unbelievably almost 36 years ago.
Yeah.
So was it about this specifically, or was it just a generic story about revolutionaries? Because we weren't having these same conversations about immigration to the degree that we are today. The other interesting thing is that, and I'll get back to what I want to say about Boogie Nights specifically, but talking about how timely this movie is with the immigration subject matter and all that, it doesn't quite fit, because this movie opens 15/16 years ago. If you want to say, oh, this is a big middle finger to the Trump administration, 16 years ago, it was the Obama administration.
Right.
And then when we jump forward 16 years, that storyline, except for the one kind of nod to it, which was just an excuse to get Leo on the run again with Del Toro and his crew, it's not dealt with. It's not central to the story. It becomes all about this chase and this weird chase family dynamic. So it just feels very confused. But with Boogie Nights, again, not having read the Pynchon novel, if Anderson had taken the structure that he applied to Boogie Nights and applied it to this movie, where it's dark material because you're dealing with the 1970s adult film scene, and it gets even darker as you get into 80s and cocaine and violence and stuff. If you'd found a way to have the tone go darker and darker and deeper, because Boogie Nights is a drama. The comedy comes from the ridiculousness of the adult film world and these people's inflated egos. But there's that brilliant punctuation scene of the New Year's Eve where William H. Macy, does the double hit and then the pop, if you know what I'm saying. I'm trying to keep it friendly. And then from that moment, the film turns a corner and just keeps descending and descending and descending. Not in a way that feels incongruous with what came before, but all those building blocks suddenly come crumbling down. If this movie had been that, I think it would have been more satisfying. It would have forced him to be more disciplined with his storytelling. It's also it also seems, and this is just me, but for as much as this is a message movie, I think it'd be interesting to show a nuanced message, because I did not buy that Willa, who had been raised believing that her mother was dead, because that's the story Bob told her, finds out that her mother was alive and had been a revolutionary and had turned snitch on all of her friends, still decides to take up this mantle of revolutionary. Like at the end, it's unclear if she's going out to protest or if she's going out to do some, reignite the French 75.
No, they do drop a line in there that she's doing it peacefully. She's not doing it out of violence. They specifically do, I think, either a VO or something. They do state up that she is being her own person. She still wants to protest, but she's doing it peacefully by going to,
I think she said she's doing it her way.
Right, her way, which
right.
was just going to peacefully protest, because the rally was, they were going to hold a protest rally at a location, and that's where she was driving to. So
3 hours or 4 hours away. Yeah.
Right. So that's the message with her, is that she's doing it her way, because her mom's way was way too extreme and her dad's way was lazy man, stoner, and she wants to do it her way. And that's kind of the message, and that's why I liked her character and her through lines through,
I get it, Mark, but here's what I'm getting at. Even the idea of the protest, because I would bet that the French 75 started out as protesters too.
Yeah.
Likely so.
What I would have liked to have seen is something where, because this would involve, Leo's character doing a lot more growth and development on his end too. We just don't really get that. But the idea of, like, if you really want to change the system, you don't blow stuff up, and picketing and protesting has very limited effect. If you want to be bold and do the hard work, go run for something. Flash forward to her, in college or something, or I don't know exactly how old you have to be to run for like local office, but to like get involved instead of complaining about stuff or trying to blow things up because you're not getting your way. Get involved. Now there could be a sequel where she tries that and it didn't work out, so then she reignites the French 75. There you go. Because this is it is just one battle after another, it never stops.
Would it be called One Battle After Another for the sequel?
Oh my gosh. Okay,
Something
Mike,
fishy.
this is why I want the movie to do gangbusters now. I want it to succeed so I can see that sequel, at least the poster for it.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
were you going to say, Katie? Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Going
sorry.
Sorry.
No,
Oh,
Katie, go ahead.
I was saying that Willa did know that her mom was a revolutionary, and like
Yeah.
that she was like her mom was her hero, but
Right.
she did think that she was dead. But then to find out that she was a snitch all that time, and not only that, but to find out, and we're in spoiler territory and all that stuff, that not only is Bob possibly not her father, but
Definitely not her
is
father.
extreme, like the extreme opposite of what she has loved about her life and who she. It's like the fact that that person could be her father, and then she immediately goes to the essay that, well, you must have done this with my mother, which that was not the case at all, is even more of an F with her head kind of moment with her. And you guys didn't laugh when she said, "Why is your shirt so tight?"
Oh yeah,
I did. Yeah.
Oh,
laughed
yeah.
funny.
That was
I
the
having a
second
great
time I
Oh my
laughed.
God,
I
that
laughed
was
so
and then he gets like
hilarious.
super homophobic. He's like, "I'm not gay."
No, that was the two times I laughed. I laughed at
Okay, because that
I
was
laughed at the
really
phone
that
call.
was really funny, especially when she
Yeah.
said it the way she did. It's like, why is
Yeah.
your shirt so tight? Like that was really funny.
No, that because it sounded natural too, to how
Yeah.
she's handling this situation, and that's her way of
Del Toro gave me laughs.
Yeah.
The skater guys gave me laughs. I was snickering plenty. I was doing good. I wasn't full like rolling around the floor or anything like that. It was Naked Gun, but yeah.
I didn't laugh at that scene because that moment, that line, because I was so again totally confused by what this movie was trying to do, that I'm like, is she supposed to be being funny, or is she in fear of her life, or is she really
Right.
upset because this guy is forcing a DNA test on her? It just seemed like an action movie kind of thing to do. And when and he's wearing a tight shirt, and it's like, I guess that I feel like they did like 20 different lines. PTA is just like, try something else. It's just like, why is your shirt so tight? Or you've got funny shoes, or I hate your haircut. And we'll go with the shirt thing. Oh wait, hold on a second. We have another comment.
Noise triggers. All I have is noise triggers, you guys.
Sorry.
Hey, I know Stream Boo. They message me all the
Stream Boo,
time.
yes, they do.
Hey,
Well,
conflict.
I'm gonna get me some of those cheap viewers one of these days. I promise.
Yep.
See, there is one other way to look at it, and again, this is why I was chewing on it in my review. And Michael Smith says I'm missing the mark, and I may very well be, but there's also an angle to where you can look at it where he's kind of he's kind of poking fun at nearly all the sides.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like, look how silly Antifa is.
You've got your revolutionary who got so revolutionary she gave up on her family values, though she's supposed to be a representation of the true stay-at-home family value, unity and that, and yet she goes off on her own. Not only does she go off on her own, she also commits. Well, it wasn't adultery. Well, it might have. I don't think they were still married, but she goes off and cheats on Ferguson. In this kind of because that could have been his angle of showing two extremes attract. As much as they hate each other in public, secretly they are so passionate about some things that they actually share maybe more in common than you think, that would make them extremes. I'm just saying he could be poking at that. He's poking at the fact of, here has a side that talks about how single dads can make it, and single dads, it's rough, but they're going to do the best. And then you have Leo, who has completely crapped the bed as a dad overall. I mean, she's healthy in that, but she's mostly done that, you feel, on her own. You have him doing the code word, to where you have the one guy trying to be serious and gatekeeper, that his buddy's like, oh, no, give me here. He's a war hero, because it's 16 years later. This guy's not necessarily even taking it, as serious as they probably should as far as security. And then you have Del Toro's segment, which I loved his character. While I did, I didn't really laugh out loud, I loved his character, because his character was the only one like, yeah, this is normal for me. Whereas you have Bob going, oh my God. And he's like, yeah, that's your privilege, man. He's like, we do this all the time. Everybody up, let's get under the underroll. So I think in some ways he may have been trying to show a little bit of the absurdity of all sides, even though it is more attack on the right, I will fully admit. But I think as well, if you look back just a little bit and think of what some of those characters, like I said, and then maybe that's what was jarring for me, is what some of those characters you expect them to be and what they ended up being 16 years later was so jarring for me. And maybe that was part of his point as well. I'm just saying, I'm just throwing another angle.
I don't think Mark, I don't think he had a point. I don't think he was really saying anything. What was he saying?
I think, I mean, not to nitpick it or in the opposite direction, but like, I think my thing to saying where Mark's going is like, if PTA is doing that and can do that, or even if Pinchon is doing that, there is a be careful what you project version of this where like, we're as much as like pitchforks and torches are coming out for this movie on one side, there's still this bouquets and championing of it happening from many other sides where like, I don't know if this is the horse you want to back. Like if you're going to be the message movie, like this is the voice of our times, like admire it for the movie and what it attempts to do and all the hurdles that it can. But there is a be careful what you project here. Like, is that really what you want to go for there? Yeah.
Well, I think, the Perfidia character is an interesting one because given where she ends up, given the things she says, given the things she does, I'm not convinced she would have a baby. There's a whole idea of like people are committed, like wanting to have kids for the revolution to like raise the army and everything. But from the get-go, she's like, I hate this kid. There's that iconic, thing about like she's machine gunning on the target range with the big fat belly. And all that is just a publicity shot. It's completely dumb. And it's meant for shock value. Like, oh my God. But, at the campfire around that, she's like, I don't even want to be a mom. And then someone else is like, I don't think she's going to be a good mother, or some comment like that. It seems like something else that is made for the convenience of the story, but unnecessarily so, because she could have been a doting mother who was separated from her family. She goes out to the grocery store and gets picked up by, Sean Penn or one of the goon squad, and then kind of forced to turn state's evidence or something, and that's what breaks the family up. There's so many other smarter and consistent ways to get through the story that I'm like, why this route?
If I'm rewriting this movie, the letter at the end is great. An appearance from Tiana Taylor would have been better, like a save the day, like which would have been corny as can be, but I would have bought it, like a save the day moment where she comes in, guns blazing, Mama's back, in like whatever way she wants to do it. Like I would have loved a Tiana Taylor, finale comeback would be great. But Katie, you got a better way to.
Well, no, because I feel like this movie is about extremes. It's about going to the extreme to the left. It's about going to the extreme to the right, and especially when you see Perfidia, like her mom even says to Leo, it's like, you're not right for my daughter. Like, you don't have that what she needs. And maybe he even realizes that, and he knows that, but he thinks that they've made this child together. And when she gets together with Sean Penn, it's more of an action of, if I do this, then he will let me do whatever, because he says he doesn't care what she does. He just wants her. So it's like, I'll do this. She doesn't necessarily feel good about herself afterwards. Does she think that she
she goes to him? I mean, that's not.
No, she did, because he came to her in the toilet and said, look, I don't care what you blow up, but it's like, you come to me at this thing, or I'm going to make sure all of this goes away. And she's like, okay, I will sacrifice. I will do that. She takes charge or whatever. But does she think that that's going to lead to a child? No. Does even Sean Penn think that that's possibly going to lead to a child? No. I mean, at that point, though, when Leo sees what she's doing, and even Regina Hall, like, you can see the disappointment in her face. Like, when she has the baby, and then she's like, I'm jealous of my own child. You just see me as a piece of meat. And it's like, I'm not going. And then she gives him that message, like, I'm not going to live your inadequate life. I'm going to do this. And then she commits the one thing that it's like, this is completely going against, like you were saying, like, this is going against everything they're going for. They want the freedom. They want this, the people. You don't go and shoot someone, because then that brings everything. And when they catch her, and like in that whole crowd of guys, it's like that right there is a huge, I feel like, is a screenshot moment. because it's like, you know, she wanted to do all this stuff for the revolution and do all this stuff, but look where it got her. It then made her the complete enemy of everyone that she was supposed to be leading, and made her like, you know, as I loved it when Chase asked about her mother. It's like, you know, my mother. It's like, well, yeah, your mother was a rat, and you're the child of a rat, so you're a baby rat, and that's hard to trust. And it's like to see Chase Infinity's face, like, what are you talking? Like, what are you talking about? Like, this whole time she thought her mom was this hero, and she's the one.
Luke Skywalker moment.
Yeah, maybe at one point was a hero for the revolution, and then ended up like causing the death and destruction of everything and an implosion of everything. Like, she doesn't know her grandparents, she doesn't know anyone. And then you get Regina Hall, who on the run 16 years, she was fine. She helps to go and find this woman who, in all, I feel like purposes, really would have been the surrogate mother to Willa. If she had just gone with Bob, they'd had this like little family. She goes to help this girl. Stupid freaking teenagers. If she had not had that damn phone, it would have been fine. But then Regina Hall is the one who ends up getting put into jail regarding that. And I feel like we haven't talked about her that much, because this is I think the best performance of her career. And I think that maybe she's on the underscore of like best supporting actress, possibly. But I think she should be.
Nothing's gonna top her appearance in Scream. Sorry.
Yeah.
Scary movie.
Or Scream. Yeah, Scary
Girls. I got some spots that she's better, but but you're three deep in supporting actress, so that's the hard part. Like, it's Chase, and then it's Tiana, and then it's Regina. You know, so I don't know if you're gonna get three deep.
I feel like Tiana is. It's like she's because I mean, I do think Chase is amazing, but I just think Tiana, like I said, is like
you gotta slot her in lead to separate. You're gonna split your own vote here a little bit.
I don't know.
The field will split its own vote, but
everyone else, y'all are throwing these, again, Don, to use your phrase, all the flowers at Tiana Taylor. I feel like I could turn on any episode of Jerry Springer and like see her like on TV. I'm like, there's nothing special here. Chase Infinity, I'll give you. She's a promising young actress. Like, I'm not seeing anything particularly special in this performance. I mean, I think a lot of it is in the writing. Because she's not a particularly nuanced character. She doesn't really have an arc. I will say that actually the train just left the station. I know what I'm going to say. The idea that PTA, and to whatever extent he's adapting Pynchon, the idea that they're making fun of all sides is true in the most literal of definitions, because we've been talking about the dimension, the conflict, the goings on of the French 75 and Bob and that whole crew throughout this 16 years. On the other side of that, you have the cartoonish military guy who, okay, let's go down the list. He's straight, he's white, he's male, he's old, he hates gay people, but he also has a penchant he's got a secret love of black booty. Like, you cannot get more stereotypical than this. He doesn't have anybody else that he talks to, no family. We're led to believe that somehow this guy has the full force and control of the United States military at his disposal to go track these people down. And then there's the Christmas Club, which again is just a bunch of generic white guys spewing the most vile, like cartoonishly racist stuff imaginable. But the only like white male in this movie that has any kind of like nuance or depth is Bob, and they even emasculate him by turning him into a brain-addled stoner character. So yes, they are not portraying both sides flatteringly, but if you want to ask me, gee, I wonder where Paul Thomas Anderson falls politically, there's no question. Yeah. It's not fair. I want to see something smarter. I want to see Penn be a decent, intelligent villain who's brought down by his own hubris, not because he's Elmer Fudd with military powers.
Now, all those points I actually agree with, and I think there's two things. Tonality has come up a lot, and I feel like it's the feeling I got when I got Last Jedi-nitis. It's like, oh, that's not, consistent with blah, blah, blah. But the thing is that tone, like, let's say you go into this movie and you don't really agree with either side. You're going into it because it's a funny movie, and it's actually a very interesting one where you haven't seen a movie made like that.
True.
And even if you're not a PTA fan, if you see it, you're going to go, what the hell did I just watch? Who is this guy? Because if it was a movie in the middle ground and everyone's, it would be more interesting in terms of nuance, but it would also just kind of be like another movie about revolution that we've seen a million times before, where every side's to blame and everyone hurts, and it wouldn't have that sting that this movie does. Now, if you don't agree with the politics in this movie, I get that. And if it was with the other side, I would absolutely resent this film. But I wonder if this movie got greenlit, because I think it finally got greenlit in 2023 and it was being bounced around for decades. I'm wondering if the politics of today did affect the greenlighting of the film.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
But either way, it's a movie that, like, just see it as a film where you don't even understand the politics.
Right.
Let's say you're from some other country.
Right.
It's really entertaining
just
because of the mise en scène. And anyone can say, oh, yeah, well, it's stylish and it's not nuanced. But I'm like, yeah, but we like stylish movies because that's why we go to the cinema sometimes, to be blown away. And if you have a good story behind it, I feel like you've done this job. And there's a lot of things to nitpick with the plot. I think it's about the hypocrisy of people, because you have DiCaprio, who's this revolutionary who you think is going to be a loving father, but it winds up being this pothead. You have Lockjaw, who, thinks one way, but of course he loves black booty, and there's that great scene. I don't care if with me, I love the tone with it when he runs into DiCaprio and he's like, I love black, and you know what word I'm gonna say. But it's got all those elements and it works, but how it'll be seen years from now, we'll see. But I feel like it's a movie about revolution that doesn't just come across like every other film about it.
Yeah, but there's the thing. But Mike, I take your point, but that's assuming that you can't tell a new story or a nuanced story about revolution that also has style. I mean, there are screenwriters who get paid millions of dollars to come up with movies. And, I'm sure that among the panel here, we've seen enough films. We could sit down and hash something out over a nice long weekend, at least an outline story.
Is my go-to revolution.
Yeah. I mean, RRR is also the best film of the last 10 years. So,
but it's also like that. I mean, that's 800 times more grandiose than this one, and intentionally so. So like it could be done. And there's still nuance in that, but it's still it's nuance with on the nose delivery. It's Mike said it right, where this is a tricky subject. So it's if you take a very middle, placid, show both sides ground, it's not as effective as it would be if you plant a flag and go, you know what, here we go. So,
but I'm going to disagree with you, Don, because of something that you just said. RRR is a movie about two people who are cultural, political rivals who spend most of the movie think that they are trying to fight and kill each other, but they find a common ground and a common enemy, which you could have very well done here. I mean, Lockjaw could have realized that he's being manipulated by the people he's trying to get in with. Maybe he's been fed lies about his mission or something. The French 75 could realize maybe blowing things up isn't the right way to go about it or whatever, but there are smarter versions of this story. And when I sit through an almost 3-hour film by a filmmaker that I really respect because of his not only artistic brilliance but intelligence, it's a puzzlement to me. Now, I didn't see Licorice Pizza or Phantom Thread. Those are like two. I don't think I've seen Paul Thomas Anderson's last two movies. I don't know what happened. I fell off.
I continually confuse him with Wes Anderson, so I apologize on that. So.
Oh my God, if they ever got together, and Paul W.S. Anderson,
right?
Yeah. Wow.
I
Oh my
had
gosh.
That would
many.
be-
I personally did not care for Phantom Thread and Licorice Pizza. So to me, watching this and wanting to watch it again and again and again was a huge joy. In fact, I'm very much not a fan of Licorice Pizza, and it started within the first like 1 to 2 minutes of the film.
I was
But
out of that one too.
um,
Out of mine. Yeah.
with this, I can't wait to see it again.
Well, and not that I'm plugging the theater, although I do it all the time in this show. But from what I understand, there are still 2 weeks left for people to go see One Battle After Another in 70 millimeter at the Music Box in Chicago. So
Mhm.
if you think this movie is going to be in your wheelhouse, or even if you don't, but this conversation has convinced you to go see it as it was meant to be seen.
Mhm.
But anyway, I think we're going to leave it there because we are
Yeah.
way over time. But I really appreciate this panel because I was not sure how it was going to go.
I
No
know.
one yelled
Yeah.
and screamed except for
Nope.
we got a little with Michael Smith there, but I don't know if he's still with
That's
us.
okay. I'm always told I miss the mark on things. So
I just
Change the name to Miss the Mark Productions.
miss the mark
No.
the production. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, never, Mark. You're always your presence and your perspective is always welcome here. Excuse me, I gotta take a swig of water. Katie, go ahead.
I just want to say 2 words, which was another one that made me laugh. And if you see the film, you'll know what I'm talking about. Hairless Mexican. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, I went there.
Okay, that got a smirk from me. That was not a laugh. That was a smirk.
was
Thanks for
funny.
reminding me of that. Yes.
Like,
But
Hey, my brother. Apologize. Yeah.
Here's the thing overall, whether or not you despise the film or you love the film, or if you miss the mark or you hit the mark, it tells you what type of film this is, and that's why I think I still gave it 4 stars because it shows you, just because you may despise what the film is saying or how it's portraying, the fact that it has sparked so many perspectives just on this panel and overall people who have seen it shows you he did something here interesting, because the worst you could do, as I've always said, the worst you could do is have a movie like this and everybody just go, yeah, it's all right.
I know. And I'm saturated by that lately, where like everything's too.
Which a lot of movies are just kind of lately. A lot of them who, boast 15 minutes standing ovation at Cannes or whatever, and the general public goes to see it, and they were like, "Yeah, it's all right."
Yeah.
Whereas that one, like,
bunch
it
of the
leaves his
films
mark.
coming out this weekend are very meh. One of the ones that I just saw last night is mesmerizing, meaty monologues, and meh.
And just to throw one more thing, and then I will shut up. I promise. I'm sure.
You're
Michael
talking fine.
Smith is happy I'd shut up, but I just saw recently finally the film Queen of the Ring.
Okay.
Yeah,
the wrestling biopic.
Yeah,
I went in not knowing a whole lot. I'm a big wrestling fan. I really enjoyed that story.
Same.
It kept a nice high energy. It covered some darker moments, but it never went too heavy. But it never went too light either. It provided.
It didn't.
Just
it could have
the
been
way
Bible Belt hayseed stuff, and it stayed enough. Yeah, I'm with you.
It didn't go dark side of the ring, but it didn't go where it treated the material comically like you could with wrestling. It just showed the earlier days of wrestling, and being a wrestling fan, some of that I wasn't aware of, so I appreciated it. So, films like this, I think, can toe a line, and a lot of people haven't talked about Queen of the Ring after it first came out, but I enjoyed that one. I think it's a solid film with some really good performances on an interesting subject matter. So people are making those films. It's just that most studios aren't giving them the wide enough release.
Right. Yeah. Studios want the lightning brand, or the fire brand, I should say. And that's this versus Queen of the Ring.
And I think maybe part of the reception of this movie is they released it because of today's political culture. But this is a film that I think may have been released just a bit too soon if you wanted it to appeal to more than maybe one side.
Yeah, or have Oscar.
I I think because it's a little too sensitive. Because for me, in all honesty, those scenes 16 years later where they have the riot squad going after the protesters, that hit a little too real for me, because I literally saw news clips of what happened in like Portland and that, or in Chicago beforehand, or in New York or DC, seeing stuff happen like that and see them portray it that accurately in there took me almost a little bit too out of the film. They're brief. We don't hang on it as much as, but it was enough in there to where I was like, yeah, that's not what I'm at the theater for.
Well, Mark, did you see Eddington earlier this year?
No, I didn't yet. No,
that one's gonna hit a nerve.
I gotta be in a right mindset for that one. So,
yeah.
What movie?
Eddington. Very overlooked film.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
But I'll shush.
Now. Well, since we're throwing out recommendations here, this has nothing to do with politics, not really, but there is a movie coming out this weekend in very limited release from Shout called Killing Faith with Guy Pearce and DeWanda Wise. It is a supernatural horror Western. And it's one of those movies that I watched and I was frankly blown away by. And it's weird because Guy Pearce is giving a performance in this movie that I'm like, this has all the trappings of kind of a direct to streaming kind of thing, even though it's getting a limited release. And I'm not crazy about the title either, but I'm like, this is like in that kind of sinner's lane where I think more people should be, there should be a bigger push for this. But we're going to close it out with a couple more comments. One from David Fowley, Semen Demon.
Yes. Semen Demon.
I don't know how you got hold of my yearbook, sir, but no. And then Jeff York, fascinating chat, my friends. 2 questions for the show. First, what happened to Michael Smith's participation? Well, I don't know. And 2, are critics quickly dismissing Sinners in favor of this film for award season? Well, and I think that was very encouraging early, Don. You brought up Sinners as still like, your big contender. It's that movie is tied for a couple of other things, including Life of Chuck for me. And I certainly hope that with all this hype and this best of lists, and as I conjectured, the politicization of the critical kind of consensus, we are still 2 months away from the end of the year, and I think there's enough time for this movie to kind of like fade to the black, to the fade to black, fade to the background, and hopefully Sinners will still be kind of on top.
Just even from a box office and like, can you reach the public and find your audience and then bring other audiences in? Sinners will lap this movie 10 times by the time this thing finishes its run. Like, it's this one, like you said, Ian, has its niche, cinephiles and the people who want to grab this message. But Sinners, just people go into it and then find something to it, and it just gets them. Like, it's the pull of that movie is just so much greater than this one. They're both fine films, but like if I put the two next to each other, like category to category, it's no question to me that Sinners can beat it in many places.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, Warner Brothers would have to campaign for whatever movie they want to put up. And for a film that is set to lose a lot of money for the studio. I mean, it had a $50 million global on 130 estimated budget. So this, But Sinners, on the other hand, WB had a 7,
One Battle After Another had $130 million budget
to start.
PTA's largest.
To start.
Yeah, that's 20 million is just for Leo.
Probably,
at least.
But WB has had a tremendous year. They had 7 films in a row opening at 40 million plus, and this broke the streak. So we'll see. Anyway, thank you, including David and Jeff. Glad to see you're able to hang out, even if you're not able to hang out in person. But I am truly blessed to have this crew of friends and critics here with me tonight. I am Ian Simmons of Kicking the Seat. Once again, we have Don Shanahan of Film Obsessive and Every Movie Has a Lesson. Mike Crowley of YPA Reviews, you'll probably agree. Mark the Movie Man Krawcheck of Special Mark Productions and the Spoiler Room Podcast. And Katie Glidewell, the blonde in front. Sorry, Bob. Or is it Pat? I can't remember.
The Bob in front?
What? Anyhow. I am going to end with a terribly tasteless joke, because we were talking about Boogie Nights. I got to thinking about what would the adult version of this film be, And the answer, of course, is one butthole after another.
I was gonna say booty, but yeah.
Join us
One
back
booty
next
after
week.
another, yeah.
when we'll be
Release the
talking about-
cat's butthole cut.
Yes, release the butthole cut.
Ugh.
One chocolate starfish after another.
Now I want
Hail
seafood.
Santa. Hail Santa.
Second
Oh,
starfish
by the
on
way,
right.
Or Hail Saint Nick. Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone noticed this, but every time that they had like the Super Christmas Club, I thought of the Super Adventurers Club from South Park, which
Second chocolate
Well, it's
starfish
the,
on
Christmas,
right.
it's the Christmas Adventurers Club, so that's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah. Well, next week we're going to be back with another film that could also be an adult title, The Smashing Machine, starring The Rock.
Yep.
Wow. Anyhow, join us next week, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central. We'll be back. And if you like this live stream, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications and all that business. What did you think of One Battle After Another? Were you one of the 10 people besides the folks on this panel that paid to see it in the theater? Leave us a comment down below. Agree, disagree, whatever. Just keep it civil, please. And also down below, the information for all of Earth's Mightiest Critics. Please subscribe to and follow and love them as I do. And until next time, whenever that is, whatever that is, thank you very much. Take care and viva la revolution.
Punk trash.